Susie? Sue, shut the door. Please, thank you. Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. I am your host, Joe Abadi. A belated Merry Christmas to you and an early Happy New Year. Thank you, Jordan, Chelsea, and Susie, for putting the show together. And thank you, the viewers at home, who joined me tonight. Jordan, let's see what we have on the show. Starting line is, of course, sponsored by Motion Pro. And the next time try this segment, we'll talk a little bit about wheel bearing removal and what to do and what tools to use to do that. Beautiful bike in the Moto Showcase, an HL 500 that was sent in by Joe Anderson, the best of the best. Where do you see this bike? Here's the problem segment. Tell you how to get cream out of a tank. Cream. And then what's it worth? We take a look at a really nice little 1971 DT250 that was recently sold on eBay. We've got trivia tonight. Special trivia to celebrate a new product that has come out by Preston Petty Products. They're made of aluminum. They mount on your forks. It's for mounting a number plate. So clean, so nice. Trivia question coming up later on. It will be a call-in contest, so have your phone nearby. The expansion chamber, a new segment of the show. We've got a video sent in by Robert Oscar Pomeroy. You're going to see that video, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the expansion chamber later on in the show. If you're watching the show on Facebook, please share it. Tell some of your friends that you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. If you're watching it on YouTube, please comment AMSOIL. There will be a random share giveaway a little bit later on in the show, so comment AMSOIL. Also, don't forget to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. When you do, you'll be able to see all of our shows, all 60 shows that we put on here at Vintage Motocross Q&A, and 34 plus interviews that we've done on Vintage Motocross Radio. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get a little alert when we come on. You'll know when we're live. You'll know it's time to watch Vintage Motocross Q&A. I want to thank our sponsors, AMSOIL, Motion Pro, Full Circle Racing, Vinco, Preston Petty, Northwest Mako CZ, and the man who is so great he needs no logo, Lanny J, the best custom tank builder in the business. We'll be seeing some of Lanny's work a little bit later on. The Next Time Tried This segment is brought to you by Vinco. With over 650 products in their catalog, visit them online on Facebook and on Instagram. Vinco, keep the ride going. This week I want to talk to you a little bit about wheel bearing removal. Now, inside the drum of your wheel is a spacer like this. On each side of it, of course, are bearings. This spacer is just wide enough to get the axle of your bike through. This wheel bearing sits on each side of this spacer. Now, what we have here from Motion Pro are cullets like this. They come in different sizes. When you tighten them up, they spread out just a bit. It grabs the end of that wheel bearing, and then you're able to take it out. The difference is, or what I want to point out to you, is that that cullet is just a little bit smaller than this spacer. And you'll be able to get it in there, tighten it up a little bit, and you'll get it onto that bearing. Then you'll be able to slide it out with a hammer just like this, a little slap thingy here that Motion Pro makes. Make sure you get the right size cullet like that that's going to fit in that bearing. Now there is a little gap between that bearing and the spacer that goes through the hub. This one appears to be 15 millimeter. This should do it. So I'm going to just drop it down in there far enough to where that edge grabs the end of that bearing, grabs the other side of it without grabbing the collar that's on the other side. You want to get these good and tight. Because the object is, of course, to spread this out as much as you can to get a good bite on the bearing. And you're going to use this to get it out. Screws right in there. It is being a little difficult. I think what I'm going to do is put a little heat on it for a second. There you have it. And you can see where I was talking about, where that little edge gets underneath that bearing, and you're able to get a bite on it, and you're able to pull it out. Well, that's my tip for this week for getting wheel bearings out of a hub. I want to thank Vinco for all their support. Vinco, keep the ride going. Tonight, which is sponsored by Preston Petty Products. I'm going to tell you about an HL 500 Yamaha that was sent in by Joe Anderson. This is a really, really special bike. As Jordan goes through some of the slides, I'll read to you what Joe has told me about it. This was a customer build who contacted me from photos and a story that he saw of the first HL I built. This was a full-on best of the best of everything, no expense spared build. This is the second HL 500 I built. This time I used a frame crafter's kit, and that included the frame, swing arm, mounts, and exhaust. The engine was totally rebuilt using NOS Yamaha rod kits, bearings, seals, a Wiseco 540 piston kit, a balance crank, larger SR 500 intake valves, White Brothers cam, heavy-duty valve springs, Electrics World CDI, Barnett Kevlar clutch plates, and heavy-duty springs, 38 millimeter Electron carb, heavy-duty oil pump, large finned oil sump plate, dual oil lines for the rocker shafts, billet aluminum engine covers, full suspension is 13 inches of travel from factory Fox forks. Custom-built works performance shocks for the rear with remotes on them. The wheels were built from NOS Sun rims, 21 in the front, 18 in the rear, with heavy-duty stainless steel spokes. The body consisted of an NOS Preston Petty Tony D front fender, an NOS MX 125 rear, airbox side panels from the Netherlands, the 76 seat and gas tank fit perfectly on this project. This was an 18-month build. It was the most involved and expensive vintage build I've ever done. We've added an external flat track style electric starter and lowered the suspension to 10 inches of travel to the rear to make it a little easier to start and ride. Estimated horsepower is 55 horsepower. This bike will run easily new with 450s. Joe Anderson, I want to thank you so much for sending in this very, very special Yamaha HL500. The job you've done is exemplary. I'm going to send you a nice gift, compliments of Preston Petty products. Joe Anderson, once again, great job. Preston Petty, of course, has everything you've loved about Preston Petty products since 1971 when they began. Front fenders, rear fenders, grips. He's got shirts and hats. Go visit Preston Petty online on Facebook, on Instagram. Get a hold of Paul Stannard. He's going to get you hooked up with whatever you need. And here's the problem segment. We take a look at some questions that were sent in to us by some of our viewers. Let's see what the first one is, Jordan. Jim Lee, any suggestions on cleaning out a steel tank that has been lined with cream? The tank was powder coated and now has burnt cream inside of it. I found this question on my motorcycle gas tank Q&A page. I thought it was really interesting. I wanted to share it with you people here tonight. Now, cream has been around forever. A lot of guys have dumped it in their tanks. They treated the tanks. Primarily, it was used for rust. What happens is over years, it starts to delaminate. It can be very, very difficult to get out. In this situation that Jim Lee is involved in, he had the cream inside the tank, and I guess it was working, but then he had the tank powder coated. Powder coated oven goes up to about 400 degrees. That cream started to bake in there, started to delaminate a little bit, and it's very, very, very difficult to get out. I have personally used acetone and drywall screws in a tank to get cream out. Now, being it has been baked in there, I don't know if that makes it any better or any worse, but I have had luck with acetone. Another great product is MEK, M-E-K. It's great. It's stronger than acetone. It's not available everywhere. So you may have to shop around for it. Home Depot or Lowe's usually sells it, but in some states, it's a little caustic. They're against it. You may have to shop around a little bit to find MEK. MEK will definitely take it out and will take out most any liner that you're going to find in a gas tank these days. MEK or acetone with the drywall screws, fill up the tank, shake it vigorously a couple of times a day, 2 to 3 days. On the third day, dump it into a bucket, see what you have. If it's not all out, just repeat the process. You will get it out. I've done it personally. And that's how you get cream out of a tank. Jack Dante, I'm rebuilding a basket case 1974 Yamaha MX250. Most of the bolts and screws, etc., were either missing or unusable. Not knowing what sizes to buy is a problem for me. Any advice? Yeah, I do have advice for you, Jack. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go out and you're going to buy yourself a digital caliper like there is here on the left. And you're going to also buy yourself a thread pitch gauge like you see here on the right. Thread pitch gauge, when you put a bolt against it, will tell you exactly what the thread pitch is. 1.0, 1.50, 1.75, etc. Also, depending on what thread gauge you are going to buy, thread pitch gauge, it'll have holes in it. And it'll tell you what the size of the bolt is, 6, 8, 10, 5, whatever it might be. Also, you can use your digital caliper to measure that. But what I want to suggest here too is that in everybody's shop, my shop, your shop, let's say you're looking at all the screws that go around the cases of your bike. I'm sure you have one there that fits your engine. It might be too long. That's fine. What you're going to do is you're going to screw it in just till it reaches the bottom, put a mark on it, take it out. With your digital caliper, you're going to measure how long that screw or bolt needs to be. Then you're going to write it down on a list. You're going to do that for every one of the screws that you're missing from that engine or from wherever you're missing it. Make a nice list. Then you can go online and you can order hardware much less expensive than going to a hardware store. Yes, if you need a dozen Phillips screws to go into a set of cases for a Yamaha MX or DT, whatever you're working on, yeah, you can go down to a hardware store and get some Phillips screws and replace it. But what makes it better is when you have it all written down, you go into the store, you open up their trays, and you're going to see all the different sizes. You could be able to reach in there, put it in a bag, and you're done. So get yourself these two items, because if you're going to either be rebuilding or restoring bikes, you're going to need a digital caliper and a thread pitch gauge somewhere down the road. Thanks for the question, Jack. William Lagoda, I'm trying to restore a set of 1974 Elsinore shocks. For the life of me, I can't find the plastic insulators. Are they available anyplace, or is there a way to restore the originals? What Billy's talking about is, of course, this insulator that goes over the shock body The spring goes over it. This insulator protects the spring from tearing up that shock body. They're kind of thin plastic. They take a beating over the years, and really, there isn't really any way to restore them. You could sand them down, but then you're going to have to polish them, and polishing them is a lot of work. It's not for everybody. There are also 4 ribs that go around the outside of this insulator. By the time you get done sanding it, most of that's gone. It never looks good when it's done. I've tried it. There is hope. RCM, Rusk County Manufacturing. Guy's name is Phil Fulmer, great guy. Here's his email or his website address and his phone number. He makes these. He sometimes sells them on eBay by the pair, or if you get a hold of Phil at RCM, he'll sell you a set. I think the last time I bought a pair, they were only about 75 bucks. The last pair I bought. It's really the best 75 bucks you're ever going to spend, because believe me, you're not going to want to start sanding and trying to polish this very thin plastic. You're probably not going to get good results anyway. So Rusk County Manufacturing, you can get a hold of them by phone, or they have a great website and they have some other stuff there too. You might find it interesting for your vintage bike. William Lagoda, thank you for the question. We're going to take a commercial break right here. If you are watching on Facebook, please share the show with your friends. Have them come down and watch the remainder of the show. Also, comment AMSOIL if you are on YouTube. There will be a giveaway later on. We're going to give away a nice product, or probably a couple little products that I'll box up for you, compliments of AMSOIL. Let's break to the commercial. We'll be right back. I'm back on. What's that, honey? Yes. Susie just checking in with me to figure out what the random share giveaway is all about. She's been doing it for a while now, but sometimes, she's in there actually cooking dinner while I'm doing the show, and the random share giveaway, and the trivia contest. She's a wonderful woman. I love my son. Okay. What's it worth? 1971 Yamaha DT1, recently sold for just $2,950 on eBay in Pennsylvania. I thought this was an absolutely fantastic deal. Jordan's going to go through some slides. I'm going to tell you all about it. It's a 70, well, the guy says here it's a 72 DT1, but I think it's a 71. Anyway, as you can see, it's a clean bike and it's mostly original. It idles nicely, it runs good, and it runs through all the gears. The clutch, brakes, and speedo and tack work perfectly. As you know, if you're reading this, these are highly collectible vintage bikes. Bring a smile to everyone's face who rides them. It's perfect for that camp ride or just to putt around the neighborhood. The bike sits very nice. Everything works. The only thing that's not original about it right now is the tank, and the seat cover was replaced. The rims are straight. The tires are like new. The forks are rust-free. The pictures tell the story. It is in Pennsylvania. It does have a clear title. Yes, there was some rust on the spokes, but this bike looked really, really nice and original for the most part to me. The only thing I was a little concerned with was the fact that they did not put the original mileage in there, or if it wasn't original, or if the speedometer was changed. I think the pipe was repainted too. But these first series DT1s, especially the 68s, they can go for anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000, $11,000 once they're restored, or if they're original, they go for a lot of money too. This one happened to be in great shape. I love the color, just $2,950. And as I said, the only thing that really disturbed me about it was the fact that they did not put the mileage in. But for $2,950 with a clear title, I think that was a really great deal. And that is what it's worth. I think it's worth even a little bit more, in my opinion. If you want to know the value of your bike, you're welcome to post it at the Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page. You'll find that on Facebook. I started that page about 6 years ago. There are over 16,000 members, a lot of enthusiasts who really know what they're talking about when it comes to buying and selling bikes. There's auction reports from Mecum and other auction reports as well. I post weekly some of the eBay sales that I've seen. If you're interested in buying a bike, you see it for sale, you can go and post it on the Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page. We'll start a little discussion. We'll tell you what that bike may be worth. There'll be some comparisons. It's a great group of guys and a great way to find out what a bike is worth. Nothing else goes on there. There's no buying, there's no selling, there's no parts identifications. All it's about is the price of vintage motorcycles. Come on, join us over there. Preston Petty, it's time for trivia. I did promise my friend Paul Stainer that I would promote his new product, which I showed you a little bit earlier in the show. Those great number plate brackets. They're made of aluminum. They're beautiful. It's a brand new item. They retail for $39.95, shipping included. And now here's your chance to win a set. Here's the trivia question. Hodaka had only 2 factory-sponsored riders. There was a road racer and a motocrosser. Who were they? And this is going back into the, might be late 60s even, certainly in the 70s. Hodaka, only 2 factory-sponsored riders, a motocrosser and a road racer. Who were they? Call in and please be in the USA, because Paul's going to ship these, but he's only going to ship them in the USA. Call in now at 925-234-8181, live audience only. So if you're watching this on a replay, don't call in. 925-234-8181. Who were the 2 Hodaka riders that had factory sponsorship from Hodaka? There was only 2 of them, a motocrosser and a road racer. Call Sue. She's inside. She's cooking dinner and she's answering trivia questions. 925-234-8181. The inspection chamber is a new segment of our show. I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about it. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you all about it right now. What we're doing is we're going to be taking your videos. We'd like you to make a video of something that you're doing on your bike, something that's special though. I do things every week, like something I did before with the wheel bearings. But you know what? There's some Bultaco guys out there, CZ guys, Mako guys. Everybody has a little bit of a different way to say, let's talk about installing or taking out a clutch of one of those bikes or how to adjust it, okay? Make a little video, something like you're going to see right here. 2 minutes or less, please. Make sure the audio is good. Make sure the camera's steady. And we're going to feature it here on the show in the expansion chamber, which is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. Jordan, let's take a look at our first video.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about an easy, cheap method to safely install a seal without wrecking the lip. And sometimes we have to change seals without disassembling parts, ignition seals or kicker shafts, things like that. On the ignition seal, it's very simple because the taper is so big that you have lots of clearance to get that on there the first time without damaging the seal. But let's say a kicker shaft. So what I do here is just a simple old Kroger shopping bag. I cut myself a little piece that slides over the spline, and this is a 20mm shaft and a 20mm kickers on the spline. So your risk is very high. So I just cover the bag like that. I put a little bit of oil in the seal, help it slide over, and then it just slides right on. And as you can see, it slides right on without touching the spline at all. And there you go. The seal is on perfectly. Same with the kick. Here's an example for the fork tube. So the inner race, there's a little sharp ledge for the inner race, and then there's these really sharp holes here for the oil bleeds on both sides. It's a lot to get past without damaging it. Get your seal on here, and then on the opposite end, this is where the triple clamps go, and very often you'll have like pitting or some kind of nicks or whatever, and either end is kind of risky to damage the seal. So what we do, same thing, take my little Kroger's bag, make it long enough to cover your area that you're concerned about. Wrap it up like that. Apply a little oil on your seal, helps it slide on, and then you slide that on, and you hold the bag and you just slide down, all the way down until, there you go, and it might be right there. And there you have it. Simple way to put a seal on an area that has contours and that you don't want to damage the lip.
Pomeroy, I want to thank him for sending that video. We're going to see one next week from Fritz Gunther, and hopefully in the coming weeks, you people will get involved and make a little 2-minute video like that of something that you do on your bike, something that's a little unique. Keep it about 2 minutes long, please. Do it sort of like Oscar did it right there. I know not everybody's going to be able to put a camera over their bike to do it, but keep that camera stable, keep it level, have it looking at the whatever it is that you're working on, and we'll feature your video here on the show in our new segment called The Expansion Chamber, which is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. Free shipping this week. Been free shipping all month actually, and I was on the phone with Tom McAllister today because I personally sent Tom 3 sets of wheels that he's working on for me. So Free shipping on rims and spokes for most modern brands from Suzuki, Yamaha, Honda, Kawasaki, Husqvarna, and Mako. And don't forget, Tom's got that great special going on with the hubs. He'll powder coat your hubs. He'll clean them, disassemble them, blast them, mask them, and powder coat them for just $50 a hub. $10 more if you want the backing plate done as well. You can request a quote for a custom color other than gloss black or matte black, and typically that's just about $20 more. So get a hold of Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing. Tell him that you sold a special here at Vintage Motocross Q&A, and Tom's going to hook you up with some great rims, spokes, and take care of those old hubs that you've been looking at all this time. Send him the hubs. He'll put your spokes in, put the rims on, send you back a new set of rims. Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing, thank you so much for all you do. In the product spotlight tonight, which is sponsored, of course, by Northwest Mako CZ, because it is actually a Northwest Mako CZ product. They've got an ignition system out there in Pennsylvania that Alan Brown has been making in-house. He's been making these for years. It's for a CZ400, the BV ignition system, and it's an electronic ignition. It brings modern technology to your vintage bike. Ignition systems have been built in-house there for many, many years, and they're designed to provide maximum performance and reliability for your CZ. All components for that ignition system are also available individually from Northwest Mako CZ. $469 to bring your CZ into the 21st century with electronics. It's certainly worth it. It really is. And if you call in the next 48 hours or email Alan Brown, shipping will be on Vintage Motocross Q&A. That's right. We will cover shipping. Have Alan tell me that you've called them, that you've seen it here on the show, and I will cover the shipping on any of those ignition systems that you buy in the next 48 hours. Thank you, Northwest Mako CZ, for all you do for the show. The man who has no website. He's on Facebook. He builds the most beautiful aluminum tank you've ever seen, and he makes them for most popular models, from Bultacos to Makos, CZs, and more. I'm talking about, of course, Lanny J. Here's some of Lanny J's work right here, where he replicated a Hercules tank. Here's a Bultaco tank that he's done. He does an amazing job, especially on these CZ tanks, where he makes them a little bit narrower. What an amazing job. A great fabricator. Lanny J truly is. Here's some more of his work right here. And if you're one of those guys who happens to have a plastic tank that is beyond repair, and you want something very unique and special, get a hold of Lanny J. He'll make you a tank just like this. That happens to be Husqvarna tank. With prices just starting at $395, I can't see how you can't give Lanny J a shot. Follow him on Facebook, or he has an email address. It is in the description of the show. It's in the links. That's how you can get a hold of Lanny J. Lanny J, thank you for all you've done for our show, for the CZ gas tank that you made for me, and for the wonderful job you're doing for so many people out there. There's a lot of Lanny J fans. We're going to take a commercial break. Continue to share the show. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to comment AMSOIL. If you're on Facebook, please share the show. Up next, we are going to have tonight's winners of both the random share giveaway and the trivia contest. We'll be right back.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vinco knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vinco, keep the ride going.
Vinco, keep the ride going. Our random share giveaway for the AMSOIL package is Debbie Racer. Debbie Racer. And Debbie Racer does have a real last name. I know she does. But Debbie, give us your address, and we're going to send you some products, compliments of AMSOIL. Russell Waters has been very, very generous to us over the past year or so. We'll put a nice box together for you. We'll get it to you. Debbie Racer. Give us your address, inbox us, or you know how to get a hold of me. And we'll get you a box, compliments of AMSOIL. I still don't have a winner for our Preston Petty giveaway. The question was, name 2 racers who were factory racers for Hodaka. There were only 2. One was a motocrosser, one was a road racer, and I'm going to wait. The number is 925-234-8181. Okay, 925-234-8181. And I'll give you 2 hints. One of the guys was a guest on my radio show a couple of weeks ago. He rode a Honda. And the other one, oh, how can I give you a hint? Hey, remember, what do you call it? The Andy Griffith Show? Mayberry, or whatever it was called? What was Andy's last name when he was the sheriff of that town? Same last name as the guy who was a Hodaka factory rider. Same last name as Andy on, what was it called? Mayberry, RFD, or the Andy Griffith Show? Same last name. Call in. We want to give these things away tonight. Jordan, what do we got next? Just how I see it. The show's been going great. Audience is going strong. There's been a lot of shares. I'm real happy with the way things are. So are the sponsors. What I want to do is, of course, get you guys involved a little bit more personally in the show because it's about you. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the expansion chamber. So send in your videos to us at Vintage Motocross or VMXQ&A Live at gmail.com. If you're too big to send me an email or inbox me, and I'll tell you how you can do it. There's a transfer system. It works very, very easily. Robert Oscar Pomeroy just used it for his video. I'll tell you how to use it too. So let's start getting those videos in for the expansion chamber segment. Also, Moto Showcase bikes. I want to start getting into the 90s a little bit. You know, I was on the phone with a friend of mine the other day, Charlie Augusta from New York, and we were talking about a 1990 or a 93 Yamaha, and he said the words to me how the bike was 30 years old. And it registered with me. I mean, 30 years, bikes into the 90s. So let's bring the show forward a little bit. Let's make it a little more progressive. If you want to send in some bikes or some questions about your 90s bikes, feel free to do that because I'm going to start presenting some things either in the Moto Showcase or doing some other things on the show, maybe creating some different segments for newer bikes, just into that early 90s time. I think that's really the next big thing to happen. Prices are phenomenally wonderful on those bikes yet. Guys are starting to restore them. People are starting to reproduce parts for them as well. So let's keep that in mind and let's bring the show kind of to the next level. That's just how I see it. This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Northwest Mako CZ. And first thing up is in 1961, David Bailey wins his first race. You have to think about that for a second. Probably happened in 1959. I don't know about Mr. and Mrs. Bailey. That's their business. Anyway, David has a birthday. He was born in 1961. He is an icon, of course, and he is one of the all-time greats of American motocross and supercross. He was born this week in 1961 in San Diego. He went on to go and have a most amazing career. He's an AMA Hall of Fame champion. Later, he became a television announcer, a great commentator, as well as after his injury, he became an Ironman triathlon legend. Happy birthday to David Bailey, the little professor. Now, in 1988, on December 31st, it was still 1988, the 1989 Winter Series, Florida Winter Series, just started on the last day of the year. And the date opened, and it was at Gatorback Cycle Park in Gainesville. And Team Yamaha had a rookie by the name of Damon Bradshaw. And on that day in his rookie race, he went 1-1 in the 250 Pro class. And among the field was some other legendary riders, Hall of Famers actually. Mark Barnett had come back out of retirement. He was on a tough racing Suzuki. And Bob Hanna was still on Suzuki at that time too. But December 31st, 1988, Damon Bradshaw on his maiden voyage as a 250 Pro goes 1-1 in Gainesville. Got some announcements for you. The first thing I want to talk about is, last week my guest on Vintage Motocross Radio was David Dewhurst, a famed photographer, an author. He came on, he told me a lot about the photographs he had taken over the years, about the new book he has coming out. I want you to listen to this little set right here where he talks about Bob Hanna.
On your website, you have some paragraphs that are very, very interesting where it says that some riders feared each other and some of them actually hated each other. I wouldn't want you to get too into detail and spoil any of the book, but can you tell us a little bit about maybe some who really hated each other?
Yeah, well, I think Hannah is a great example, obviously, as everybody can probably imagine, of hating a lot of people. And it was in part he really did hate some of those people. But it was also, in his case, as with a lot of other riders, pulling down this veil between himself and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
He could not be friends with anybody and then go race them out on the racetrack hard, because it was something he couldn't get his head around. How can you be friends with somebody and then take them out in the first corner?
David Dewhurst, fascinating interview. This week, my guest on Vintage Motocross Radio this Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time will be Gary Semix for sure. On the phone, I have tonight's winner of the trivia contest. This is Joe. You're live on the air. Who am I speaking with? Once more, I didn't have you on speaker. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, this is Randy.
Oh, hi, Randy. What's your last name?
Reams.
Randy Green. I had a trivia. Reed, I'm sorry. I had the trivia question. It was about who were the only two factory racers for Hodaka. Who are those two guys?
Harry Taylor and Tommy Croft.
Tommy Croft and Harry Taylor is correct. Did you get it because I gave you the hint?
I got one of them because of him.
Oh.
And then I actually thought it was somebody else on the first one. Tommy Croft.
Well, you did get them right. Harry Taylor and Tommy Croft. I'm going to put Sue back on the phone. She's going to get your address. I'm going to get it to Paul Standard at Preston Petty Products, and you're going to get those really trick number plate brackets that they just came out with. Thanks for calling, Randy Reed.
Nice, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hold on, Randy.
And there you have it. Randy Reed is the trivia contest winner. We did mention that Gary Semix is my guest this Sunday at Vintage Motocross Radio. The next announcement will be, you know what I got coming up too? In the near future, I was just on the phone with him yesterday, Steve Stackable. Great guy, rode for Mako, Suzuki, Kawasaki, from Texas, had a really great career, a lot of fun to speak to. He's going to have a lot of funny stories. I got a call yesterday from Selvaraj Narnyana from KTM. He said, Joe, are you still doing your Vintage Motocross Radio show? I said, sure. He says, I have someone here I'd like you to speak to. He put Steve Stackable on. Steve spoke for a minute with me, and we're going to have him on the show sometime in January. Short stack coming your way. The Pacific Northwest Vintage Motocross schedule is out for 2021. It begins in Woodland on March 20th. So if you're one of those Pacific Northwest guys, or if you're from Northern California, or wherever you may be from, if you want to go racing with a great club, go up there and check out the Pacific Northwest Vintage Motocross group. A lot of things going on, a lot of races coming up, and we're all looking forward to that after this past year. If you like the shirt I'm wearing tonight, it is compliments of a company called 24co.com. That's 24co.com. There is a link for them in the show description. It's a nice little jersey that they sent us. I really liked it. I want to thank them for sending it. And they were even nice enough to put my name on the back. So if you want to get a jersey like this, get a hold of 24co.com. They make Kawasaki, Yamaha, Suzuki, all your favorite brands, all the popular ones. 24co. Thanks for the shirts, guys. Tony Bender was last week's winner of the 1983 Honda CR250. Brad Lackey was here. He picked the ticket live, ticket number 665. I just wanted to congratulate Tony Bender once again for being the winner, and for anyone that may have not been able to tune in last week and see that happen, that's who the winner was. Tony Bender from Nebraska. T-shirts are still available for Vintage Motocross Q&A. They're just $21.99. Got the logo across the front, logo across the back with my signature on it. There's a link in the show description. It's not too late to get one. Vintage Motocross Q&A T-shirts. Sponsorships are available too. Inbox me. I'll get you a sponsorship proposal package. We've had a few people interested lately. We're working some things out. We've got some more room coming up on the other side of the shop soon. We're going to kind of revamp things in here a little bit. So I do have room For some new sponsors, get a hold of me, inbox me. I will get you a sponsorship proposal package. I also want to wish everyone a very happy new year. Thank you all for tuning in all year long. We've done 60 shows now, over 34 Vintage Motocross radio broadcasts, and it's all because of you. Thank you so much. Thank you to the sponsors and to everyone that watches the show, to Jordan, Chelsea, Susie, and everyone. Have a healthy and happy new year. We will be back next Wednesday with a 2021 episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Good night, everyone. What's that? You want to see Gino? Let me see if I can get him. Gino! There he is.